Hot take of the week.
Hot take of the week.
Chuck's hot take of the week.
Chuck's hot take of the week.
He's already. I don't even know who the Warriors got, but
Dunleavy should be fired.
Yeah, he's already ready.
He had a year to do something with Chris Paul's contract.
He didn't.
Didn't do anything.
Just let it go.
Yeah, dude, it's just a waste of a huge asset.
That is a little weird.
To bring a player in.
Totally.
Are you for this or against this, Jared?
Neither with that one. That's just a statement that I agree with.
You agree? Oh, so you're.
I mean, that's not a for or against in my mind. It's just like the same guy. We brought in somebody who's cost money, and he was okay for the season, and now we're just kind of letting him go.
And we're gonna lose Clay and CP3 for nothing.
Yeah,
that's like
because they're free agents.
Huge assets. So you're getting
but they did need to clear
return.
salary cap stuff for a long time, right? That was kind of their issue. I don't know how much of an issue though. I don't know enough about that side of the business.
It seems like they're still trying to.
Trade it out
move
for some
it out for like a Paul George or somebody coming back.
Yeah, I heard talks about Brandon Ingram. That'd be kind of fun. I like totally. That guy.
But something's better than nothing.
I wonder if there's a coffee equivalent to this. You see, like, who's going where, who got what. Like,
totally.
Back when we first were getting into coffee, it was like that.
I kind of feel like it
when
was
just Intelligentsia, Stumptown, and Madcap and Verve kind of, and Ritual.
Someone's leaving here to go there.
I was talking to my friend that I talk about basketball stuff with, and he was like, what if in regular industries everything you did was public, right? Like when you're managing like an NBA team or something, it's like every move you make is public. Your players, your essentially your employees can talk to the media.
Oh yeah.
And like, what if? That's how my friend. He was like, what if Cat and Cloud, like everything that you guys talked about was public?
Dude, if the playing field was level, that'd be amazing.
And everything.
It'd be
every playing field was level, I'd be into it.
I was like, that'd kind of be. Like
I mean, it kind of
an
is
amazing
though.
Podcast.
It kind of is in some ways.
I mean, it could be in any regard.
Well, I think it's more open for. Okay, usually things get publicized when they go poorly. Because everybody does have a microphone, so everybody has a way to communicate with the outside world. So if someone's not happy about something, it isn't too hard for them to be like yada yada yada. Or if someone's really stoked about something, you get these people who are really pumped on their job and talk about it. But it's not formal. Like
formally,
you're not holding a press conference. Like, okay, guys, I have an announcement to make. Yeah,
and if there were like the 30. Essentially, because it's like the NBA, you've got 30 teams that are all competing with each other, right? So it's like if you had,
that'd
like,
be the thing too.
The top 30 specialty coffee companies like competing with each other,
and then you have a competition. If we had a competition too, like something to actually like win, because in business you don't. That'd be interesting. There's no winning in business. Turns out
the forever game.
Yeah, it's the
infinite.
Just keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. Yeah, we'd have to have many tiers.
Yeah, that was something that I was talking to my friend about. I thought it would be funny.
It would be kind of cool to see someone engage in that in the barista competition circuit.
And just try to get traded around until they find themselves the champion's home.
Or just publicize it in the same way that you would publicize a championship run for basketball or football or something. Because everyone's pretending like they don't care if they win, and everyone's
they win. They
supportive.
There's
I want to see people be like, yeah, man, Jared, he's fucking blowing it. Yeah. Dude. It's not his year. It's not going to happen. Like my team's on. Dude, we're on point, dude. These guys, we're stacking the deck now.
I mean, I think the players who want to win in barista comps typically go to a couple of those companies that seem to do it, right? That's how it was for us
like
back
make
in
your
the day
way
too.
to like the Onyxes. And
I mean, I was gonna not put names out there, but like the people who work with Ramages and all those coaches of sorts, and at least in the U.S., right? I mean,
they go, but they're just real nice about it. You know?
Well, they're not not just owning that they're trying to go to the company.
Shout out to Kyle Glanville, the only person who has the balls to actually talk shit and
just say what he's
doing.
doing.
Well, that's like
or Heather
like,
Perry,
like
she would do it.
Heather Perry,
Heather Perry.
Yes,
there's a few NBA guys like that have podcasts, and they go on and they like talk shit about people and. Yeah, say what they really feel. I think that'd be funny.
What were you watching? You posted that someone asked Steph Curry, "Are you the greatest point guard ever?"
Oh, that was on.
And he's all, yeah.
I think that was on Paul George's podcast. I can't remember which podcast, but they'll just go on podcasts. But also, I mean, he said but he's all. I mean, I have to say that it's kind of like the thing, but and he was trying to talk about in comparison to like Magic.
He's all, who's the conversation? Me and Magic?
Yeah. I mean, I just like how Curry communicates too, because he's fun with it and he's serious, but at the same time he like knows the role he's supposed to play, right? Because he's it's hard to argue that. That's why he put that conversation back. He's like, well, what are we talking about? He's like, I'm the best shooter of all time, like all this, that, and the other. But like, so is that, yeah, anyway, I like that shit. That's cool. I think that was Paul George's podcast.
Yeah, that was pretty fun little watch.
Yeah.
It's cool when people can acknowledge the talent they have in a way that doesn't feel
no
like
pretension,
they're just
right?
chest puffing, because the dude's legit, and he's actually engaging in the conversation of, okay, who are the greatest point guards ever?
Yeah.
You know, Magic Johnson's the good other example.
Yeah.
It's so hard to communicate or compare across eras too.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, your Steve Nashes, who are just, anyway, we get into the weeds easy with that. But I mean, Allen Iverson, it's like he's a point guard, but he's like not, I mean, he'd get a lot of assists actually, but you don't hear him from that. Yeah.
Point guards.
So they're all so different. I mean, the thing about Curry is he just literally changed the game. There's nobody who can, maybe eventually, but he's putting up
he's there at the right
dirty
time,
buckets,
doing the right things.
Yeah. Who's the greatest shot puller in the barista game of all time? Who pulls the most banger shots like again and again and again? You just get them on point.
I also I don't know if anybody listens to like Bill Simmons' podcast. He always creates like the
list,
like the pyramid.
Oh,
or like who's on the pyramid.
So the only Simmons podcast I listen to is the Rewatchables, the movie one, which he does a great job.
I listen to some of those on the
and
road
I know
trip.
some of the people from the sports ones come in too.
Yeah, the sports ones he'll create like a pyramid of like, cool, there's one person at the top or like 3 people at the top level of the pyramid, and then like 4 people underneath, and then 5 people at the next level down. So you're effectively creating like a pyramid of like the best, like the best 20 of whatever of all time into a pyramid.
So any range of consistency of like, that's what I'd think about. Like who over the years consistently gave me coffee that I was always like, this is really, really good. But I mean, that's the thing is let's be fair. We didn't taste coffee consistently from everybody in the industry year after year.
Yeah,
so that's a tough one to call. But I mean, I'll give him a little bit of his flower. Kaminsky would always pull me good espresso, even though he never made espresso on bars consistently. He's the first person who made me a coffee from Sumatra as espresso and I'd still remember it because it was super bomb. And it was really like, it was just good. So, I mean,
was that an SCA or something?
No, that was in the truck at Ritual. There was a truck or a bus or some shit outside that y'all had. And
that bus was crazy.
Whatever was happening, there was coffee in it, and he was making an espresso. Most people were actually inside. It was just him and me. He's all, dude, you got to try it, or dog, because he always starts his conversation with that. At least he used to. You got to try this. And that was one of the shots. And then he did it a few more times too, with just different coffees, because he clearly cares about extraction.
Yeah.
So I mean, as this is also differentiating like barista versus person who can pull amazing shots.
Because it would be like Heather and Phillips, and
I mean Heather. I think there's different lanes that people go in. So Heather is an incredible competition barista. Who knows what it's like on bar? I'm not dissing her. I got nothing but respect
take a road
for
trip,
her.
dude, road trip.
Well, she's not doing that anymore. It's just like us, right?
Yeah.
The people that I always admired, for me, my checklist was competition was fine, but who's working in a really busy cafe that has their shit together and they can consistently put out top quality, like amazing milk, amazing latte art, amazing espresso on a regular basis with a smile, a good vibe, and not have to do all this crazy stupid bullshit like, oh, I gotta re-pull it like 38 times. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
That's like its own category. If you're trying to make a pyramid, that's
those are the people. Those are the people that I tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah,
because the other more competition focused people, and this is one of the reasons that I really had to say goodbye to competition, is it stopped rewarding people who I thought were the best baristas. There was a very small, if you had this Venn diagram, the overlap was really tiny for people who actually work bar on a day-to-day basis versus people who are winning these competitions.
Who have the time and money and resources to like
play the score
dedicate
sheet
to play the score sheet and like
most of
teach
them,
to the test and everything.
Yeah, I think most of them were at some point baristas on bar, but when people were winning, most of those people were, show pony
pretty
type
dedicated,
people. Yeah. And
to that cause.
Right. No disrespect. It's just not the most important thing for me. So I was like, this is kind of corny. I got to go.
Yeah.
But
what do you think like the busiest cafe, like, oh man, that's where it's like, if we didn't have anything to do, if we didn't have a business to run, we just travel around the country and like go to the busiest
Yeah.
cafes in the country and like.
Well, maybe we could do that anyway. Maybe we could take this
cool.
podcast to the next level and make it
That's why we gotta get the truck, dude. We'll drive the truck.
Sports podcast.
Yeah.
For cafes. We're just pulling people unknowingly into our discussion.
Yeah,
it's like, you're not talking about yourselves. We're gonna have the discussion for you.
You're like you're level 2 on the pyramid.
Yeah, we just went to blank blank blank.
Build out the truck. We'll put the espresso situation in the truck and this, and we'll have a little bit of both. It's big enough. That's where you buy the food truck. You set up the bar and the podcast pop out on the side, and then you just cruise the country.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Baby. I think that'd be awesome as well.
I mean, who knows who's the busiest? You got to be in some sort of major.
You're gonna be fluxing
metropolitan
like New York,
area,
somewhere in New York.
Either that or be like the spot in your college town. Like that's not super huge. I could, if you were the one banger jam.
Right, because you wouldn't think like, I mean, the Verve Pack app, right? They're doing like 700 tickets a day or something, and it's like that's pretty busy.
It's pretty gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, for Santa Cruz, we're a tourist city, but we're not huge. We would get busy for sure.
Right, so it's like that's where I wonder if there's any like, I don't know, places like that we wouldn't think about right away. Because I'd go like, L.A., Chicago, New York.
Sure. I mean, Seattle, if you also, which is different.
Portland.
We're talking America there. I mean, when you go to Australia, they go ham. They also go singles, but they're cranking, cranking. Yeah, the singles.
You can crank twice as hard with singles.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
That's a quotable.
These are facts. 2 drinks for one head.
You can crank twice as hard with singles.
I'm good at math.
The milk's where you slow down either way, but no matter what,
milk is always the bottleneck.
Milk's always the bottlenecks, but. Agreed, you can get the drinks prepped pretty banger with the singles.
Dude, the milk bottleneck is just the number one game killer.
Everywhere.
Hurts my soul. I'll see a espresso machine with cups on top of it. There's 10
Full
cups
up.
deep. They all have espresso in them.
Ready
just
to go.
Waiting to be steamed. Then I'll see my cappuccino down at the end of the machine. And then by the time it gets ready into the steam station, it's 8 minutes old, maybe even more. And then I have to go, can I get that repulled again? I'm the worst customer ever.
Yeah, I just want it to be good.
Yeah. I think the best move for me is to just not look.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see how the sausage is made. I order a cappuccino somewhere and just go outside.
Just go away.
Just leave.
You have to.
The more information I have, the worse my experience is.
I feel like if you're thinking about busy cafes from our time, like Intelligentsia Silver Lake was one of the busiest ones that I experienced consistently. And I mean, there's others, but that one for me, I think, is the one that stands out as the most consistently busy. You'd go to Venice and it'd feel busy, but they did it differently. They queued everybody up in a line, so the line was always long, but they had a reason. So,
but then it's like I'd want it to be busy, but also that you're not waiting for a really long time.
Well, that's what I'm. So
right.
Silver Lake did feel that way.
Isn't that like the magic? Is if you can be busy and you're cranking, but it doesn't feel like.
I don't even know if I've ever experienced that. Where did that happen for you?
You guys can do that, right?
Well, I mean, we did. Yes, we had times where we did that. I think people did not wait long for drinks when it was the two of us in the right squad. We'd have waits, but our waits are definitely.
I'm okay as long as, I don't like waiting at all, but I don't like to wait twice. So if I wait in a really long line to get to the register, I don't want to wait again for an obscenely long drink time. You got to pick one or the other. It's ideally you can do both.
Right, those two are related though, right? It's like you're waiting in the obscenely long line because the drink time
is not always. Not always.
That is
where your argument works for Chris and myself, and when we were have done our thing. Because what we would do is the line would be long. The person on concierge or red op, whatever the team would be at the time, would be fairly fast, but we would be in close enough proximity that we would be ahead of the game. So we'd have the
that's different. Once you order, so you're not waiting. That's correct. Maybe that's
because sometimes you're waiting a long time to order because the guest turnaround at the register is really slow for whatever reason,
or there's just so many people, right?
Or there's so many people. But then, like I'm saying, like if you wait and there's an obscenely long time, like. Think our pop-ups that we've had. There's like a huge wait. If we're waiting in that line, like I want to get my food like really quickly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I mean, you got to slice it both ways. Where
that's totally fair. Like, I think, I guess the better thing is what's the wait from when you order to when you get your drink.
Yeah. I would prefer that to be
I'd prefer that to be shorter.
Really quick. Yeah. Because,
myself.
And most things, there's no reason for it to be really long either.
That's where I would judge. Like, I wouldn't judge negatively on the long line.
Right.
I mean, that's just a popular place, right?
Popular place.
As long as it's like the long line isn't because of
because
slow
of
register
lollygaggers.
Yeah.
I can't hang with the lollygagging. It's not popping for me. No. And
there'd be some urgency.
Yeah. Coffee's tricky, man. It's like, it's just like all other things in life where it's seemingly so simple, but the devil's in the details. And the difference between something that's pretty good and something that's amazing, it's just like a bunch of little micro touches, a bunch of little attention to detail things that make it happen.
Ops and training go a huge way. I mean, and just thinking about guest experience, it's challenging for sure, right? Because what you do sometimes then is you'll add a second register to move quicker.
Yep.
And or, though, it depends on the company, you might add the second register because you also have a lot of interaction that you plan on, and this is all up to your strategy.
Right, we've always had second register.
Mm-hmm. We tried, and we added those partially for that reason, right? We wanted to make sure that we had the appropriate amount, which, I'll give us we have at times work to do with the amount of time people spend with guests at the register, but we also have a pretty good system that moves people through fairly quickly, and you get what you want, and it's mostly accurate, which is great. But yeah, you add that second register, and then that automatically will, impact the coffee side of and food if you're doing that. But that impacts the whole other side. Is orders are coming in twice as fast, quote unquote. And
it's like
that's the idea. Is like, dude, you pull singles.
I love it. Hey,
we're doing it.
Keep the math.
Yeah. Well,
where we're at.
If all the numbers add up, everything then gets more impacted on bar, and that's where we had to be pretty on it with our bar systems and the things that we did.
Which again, if you're doing like 4 portafilters, you got a machine, but it's the milk though, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just goes back to
milk.
what you're saying, right?
Well, and
how many
that's
steam wands can you have?
You can get really good at batching milk though, and a lot of companies and people don't do that, and that's making 2 caps at the same time, or
batching
4.
milk, or pass and pour.
Pass and pour works really well.
Pass and pour.
They did that great at Silver Lake.
Pass and pour, or the pass back. So one of the things that bugs the shit out of me, I got a lot of things that bug the shit out of me.
Let's rant.
Is shot puller, right? Shot puller has the easiest job ever because it doesn't matter if the espresso is going into a 16-ounce latte or if it's going into a cappuccino or if it's going into whatever. If you're dialed in, that thing is the same. And it doesn't take very long to pull a shot of espresso.
It's all body speeds and accuracy.
It's all efficiency of motion, all those things. So what's really nice to do is if you've got a shot puller just burying shots like we talked about before, you got 15 shots on the machine and one person steaming milk, it's really tricky. What you want to do is if you're in that milk steaming station and you don't have a third person, it's like let the shot puller pull 3 or 4 shots. The milk steamer is prepping out and batching out milk pitchers, and then at some point they need to hand a milk pitcher over
to the other
to the shot puller.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can steam it and then just hand it back because while the shot puller is steaming that milk, shots can still be pulling.
There's
not like they have
to
to stop.
time,
and then they pass it back and pour. So it's just like using the time that's available, but I rarely see that happen. I rarely see
almost nobody does that.
The pass back
Run at that level.
Nope.
I think people get flustered too.
Well, it's the same thing. Like, if you don't build in the flow and the dance and you don't teach it, then it doesn't feel natural. And if you can start building it in like we did,
and it seems like
there's 2 ways to be natural.
Like people are really worried about, like, this is my space and I don't want to move into anybody else's space. But it's really fun when you're working on bar in a tight space and you have the dance down and you're just like
awesome.
Brushing up against each other. You're like in, out, over here.
Yeah, work your circles. Always work your circles. And
you never stop.
Have 2 steam wands.
Yeah.
You should probably use both of them.
You go twice as fast?
If you want to talk about this whole podcast, just has a theme. Everybody
2 registers, pulling singles, both steam wands.
Yeah, and that's all in 2s. So we have
that's
4 portafilter method on a 3 group machine. That's double. Okay, that's
what's
2
the
and 2.
math if you increase your service speed by 100% 3 times?
I only know 1 + 1 is 2.
Yeah. I can just say that's 300% faster if I'm not mistaken.
but if you increase it by 100% and then increase that number by another 100%, it wouldn't be just the same as a 3% increase on the I don't know. Math.
Are we compounding on this one?
Yes, compounding interest is what we're talking about.
Exponent going on here.
That's what I'm talking about. Those would be fun classes to host.
To show,
like a bar flow class specifically
like a really high level one.
Yeah, like you just have one on this dance where, okay, here are the things you could do. You can do the pass back. You can call for a third for a pass and pour.
You can do both of those things, dude.
You can do both those things and then cut people loose. Because if you called someone over for a pass and pour, let's say you're doing the pass back and the pass and pour with a third person, you probably only need that third person for
5-10 minutes.
Not even. Yeah. 5 minutes.
Well,
and
if you're talking about banging out, say it's like the slammer time.
But if you had that person for 5, let's say just 5 minutes, you'd get so far ahead,
15
or
drinks worth.
You at least wouldn't get buried. You know,
totally.
You would make up huge ground in that 5 minutes.
See, that's where I think that would be such a cool like 2-person like barista championship event. Like to see like like teams of 2 like compete.
That'd be fun.
As to like who could do. I almost think that'd be more fun to watch than
it was
like
kind of
because that'd be live communication
performance.
They tried that with La Marzocco's
Crush
speed
the Rush.
thing, Crush the Rush. Yeah, that was 4 people, I believe, and it
got kind of sloppy.
Yeah, still, I heard it was fun and a lot of good energy. You went to one.
I went to one. It was really cool to watch. It was definitely more fun and dynamic than watching a normal barista competition.
Yeah.
Whereas just you're bored for 90% of the time, and then maybe someone has something interesting to say, but
generally
that's almost
not. The fun is like just to push harder and harder until like the people just can't, until it blows up. You know?
Yeah.
It's like how you just push
pressure
push
until
that's
where our pop-ups are basically, because we don't get to practice them. It's just like, well, anyway, we should though. Good to know.
We'll get better.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. Yeah, that's why we're doing them. I mean, we've done 3 total, right?
2.
Well,
yours.
Once upon a time, and
then
yours is I categorized differently because you did yours when we were actually open.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was like while we were open.
That wasn't a pop up.
And the other ones were after hours.
Right, that was like take over the kitchen and run some stuff.
You're the original pop up.
Guys,
Jared's original hot chicken. Jared's original hot or not.
Send it to the people. Anyway, yeah, good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
2 + 2 = 1,000. We got it good. The streets. We're building the truck. We're going on the road.
Going on the road would be kind of sick.
I just want to go visit like the busiest cafes and see people.
I wonder if we should just do a monthly thing where we just do a quick overnighter somewhere.
That'd be cool
to see.
Bring the stuff in a little
something.
Our little box.
I feel like we go to the same cafes when we're out of town all of the time.
Yeah.
Is there coffee in Tulsa? Did you get coffee where you were?
There's a couple like good like community spots, but there's nothing that is like cranking at that level. Yeah.
There's a lot of places that I've never been to as well, in all sorts of cities that are, if you're in that specialty coffee zone in the come up like we used to be, and everybody's talking about gotta go try this, there's a bunch of names that I haven't been to now. You
see that place in New York? Oh man, what's the dude's name? Don something. Don C.
Don DeMarco.
You look at it on Instagram. I'm freaking blowing it on his name right now.
Don Cheadle's Cafe. Love that man.
Dang, I'm blanking on
Plays
the dude's name.
Like a champion.
I found his spot because I was looking at Instagram and I saw Seth Godin pop up, and he was talking about coffee and the coffee industry and the coffee business. And this dude's interviewing him, and the dude's sitting behind. I'm like, there's green coffee behind him. What the hell is going on? Huh. And this dude has a coffee shop in New York, little spot. Roasts his own coffee. Looks like he's maybe roasting at a co-row or something. And I don't know, he's just really fun to watch. Like brand new business. The food that he does all looks real fresh and healthy.
Do you know what part of New York?
I can't even remember.
Yeah. How would I even look this up? Don, New York?
No, D-O-N.
It's gonna be a few.
C.
Don C.
That.
Don Carvajal. Don Carvajal.
That's it.
Cafe.
Yeah.
How do you even find that?
I'm telling you, Seth Godin popped up in my feed, and this dude's talking to Seth Godin about coffee, and so I don't know if that's his cafe. He's got his personal Instagram too.
It looks like his cafe. I mean, he's standing in front of a register in some of these pictures.
So he's got a podcast, obviously, called The Don's Table.
Yeah.
And that was what I saw. I was like, oh, dude. And I don't know how busy it is. I mean, he just opened his retail spot recently, but it looks like it's slamming pretty good, and it just looks like he's having a good time. So like, I want to go there. It might not be one of the busiest cafes in the world, but it feels like it has a really cool sense of place.
It does look like a neighborhood joint. Yeah. You liked this picture that I'm looking at, it turns out.
Which is maybe like a different category. It's a different category.
It's a different category.
Like, I want to go see somebody fucking
destroy. Yeah.
Fresh.
Feliz Dia la Madre. Yeah, dude, he's on. Good for him. I wonder what part of whatever he's in. Cool. Oh, wait, it says right there, Irvington, New York.
Okay, not in the city.
Where's Irvington?
I don't know.
You lived over there, Mr. Wolf of Wall Street. You're supposed to know about the whole state.
I can tell you that's not in the
Let me see that thing.
New
Irvington?
York City.
Yeah, here you go. Irvington, New York.
Is it like upstate?
Wherever it is, it looks like it's in a city. I mean, in that, like, he's got a basement, but I guess that's East Coast style.
Oh, yeah, that's his name, Hector.
Yeah,
Hector Carvajal. Yeah, that's it.
Upstate.
Yeah.
Is he near the Hamptons?
He's in like it's like Hudson River Valley.
All right. That's cool, man.
Anyway, cool watch on the coffee culture tip.
Yeah,
it's a good follow if you're excited about following a new business. That's just I don't know, dude. Looks fun. Looks like he's having a good time.
Okay. Well,
I like people that look like they're having a good time. You know, not too serious
definitely.
to be.
That's a fact. You got to have fun in there.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting there all serious all the time, that's not where I want to be.
Yeah, we should get a list together.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one in every state. We just chip off the block for the next 50 months.
Jeez, dude.
Leave the kids somewhere.
Where's the busiest cafe in North Dakota? Let's find ourselves in the very tip top of America.
Well, dude, it's like if I lived in some other part of the country, it's like I wouldn't think there'd be an insanely busy cafe in Santa Cruz, California.
True.
Right, so it's like there's got to be some like
right, because it's a small beach town. Yeah, it doesn't seem
fucking
like
just surfer.
Well, I don't know.
Right.
People might think it's a huge town. Remember, they always think we're big. Companies think that we're big. Like people who don't live around us. It's the same thing with Verve. They always thought we were big.
Santa Cruz.
I could see why people thought Verve was much bigger than they were at the time.
Yeah,
that made sense.
But if you've never been here, people think that it's like near LA. You know, if you don't know America or California well, they're like, you know, they think we're all like in the same area.
Out of the country totally makes sense to me. Yeah. There's people who would come from Australia.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to drive up from LA. I'm like, yeah, that's 6 hours, bro.
Yeah. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I'm just going to pop over and see you on a day trip. I'm like, no, you're not.
It's not like Europe, dog.
If you leave at 3 a.m. and then you want to get back in time. Yeah, no, it's not like Europe.
We should put that idea somewhere.
We just did. It's now public.
It's now public.
Now everybody knows.
We're starting another podcast about talking trash about your cafe.
Okay.
We're going to come visit your cafe, rate you, hot or not. We're going to put you in the pyramid in some specific point.
We'll find
that's the interesting thing with like media and sports is like there doesn't seem to be any like retribution against the people like the talking heads, like media people who
same with food critics
who are critical of like
I think there
the
would
players
totally
and the teams.
I think there's a space for that in this industry. With us, it's just weird because we also happen to own a cafe.
Right? Yeah, I guess
everybody's going to assume that we're talking trash to put ourselves on a pedestal.
That puts us at like a handicap for that kind of stuff because it's almost off limits.
That's fair. You don't see like the team. There's no GM like running a team that has a podcast that's like talking shit about other players and teams, right?
And then also, if you get into that game, if you're in high level sports, you know that stuff's just part of the world that you live in.
Yeah.
Where if you're working as a barista in coffee, you're like, hey man, I didn't sign up for these 3 clowns to come in and just talk shit about my workflow. What the fuck is this? This is insane. I thought they were nice.
Right. They're not making like $100 million.
Well, and let's be honest, there's no real specification for the NBA of coffee. There's no professional level except for that you opened a business.
Right.
Yeah. There's no
top tier.
Exactly.
There's no officially like you've crossed into this playground where we expect that,
like
which would be
division.
Yeah, you don't have your Michelins, you don't have your professional anything, like, you don't have your.
Which I guess there's like public companies are kind of like in that with like Dutch Bros,
kind of by default,
Starbucks,
right? Yeah, when you're public,
right? Like Pete's,
that might technically count as like the NBA, but
maybe there's a way to
get there?
Well, maybe you don't ever get there because you could say the same thing about restaurants. If you open a restaurant, there's no NBA of restaurants, yet the Michelin Guide is a thing. And if you have a 3 Michelin star restaurant, that means something, and that creates this status and something that people can strive to attain. So people definitely go out and say, like, I would love for this to be 3 stars. I want to get this star. So you could theoretically create something like that in coffee.
That'd be what I'd want.
If there were people that bought in enough to the rating system to where if it was worthwhile enough to where you're like, yeah, I want to be this, I want to get 3 hot chickens from Jared. That's my dream. I want to get 3 chicken thighs. I'm a 3-thigh coffee shop.
They basically live in a hot yoga room their whole life too, just acclimating to heat so they take it on even better.
They're like, I want this.
Yeah, because is there any? So restaurants are a good comparison, right? It's like, is there any? Like the restaurants don't get to say anything. It's just like the Michelin.
It's a secret shopper.
Or
are
James
like
Beard
outside
people. Yeah, they figure it out.
The restaurant industry, and they come in and tell you whether you're good or not.
Correct.
You've got multiple things too, because you got the top 50 in the world for restaurants. You got Michelin Guide. You've got James Beard. You've got that might be the 3 that have come to mind. There's probably more than that, but that's still.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think James Beard's regional and national.
Michelin is also regional. One of the things that surprised me is they don't operate. They only operate in certain
they're not
cities.
everywhere.
They're not in like every city.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't know why any of that. I mean,
assuming it's a non-profit organization. That'd be really interesting. Like, what's the deep dive on like the Michelin organization?
I mean, Michelin is part of Michelin.
The
Michelin,
which is like, where did that even come from? Yeah, like how does the tire?
Like,
that's where it came from.
Market people to go travel. And like,
exactly.
Is that where that?
Wear down their tires so they had to buy some more.
Drive to the really good food in the America.
Yeah,
like a travel guide.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So in
what
that
it was.
regard, does that if I'm like backfilling, does it only go to places where you're gonna get like the most Michelin? Like, no, it wouldn't make sense. Michelin tires are everywhere, so are they like?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
maybe like hubs in the towns that they go to.
I read up about it, and it seemed like it started as kind of just an ad value for your travel experience.
Right.
Like if you're hitting the road, which was super common in the U.S.
Yeah, road trips were
like
huge.
The 50s or I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, I don't know when the first iteration of the guide was, but I'd be curious to know. I'm sure I read and I forgot, but yeah, I was just like, where do you go when you're road tripping?
Yeah.
What
There's
are
no
things
internet,
that we put
right?
our stamp on? And then it just evolved over time to be this really.
Yeah, because there's no internet. Like, how would you find if you're going to like if you're road tripping to a city totally across the country? Like, how would you find like what the best restaurants are? And things,
you don't. You have your map, and then you like word of mouth maybe, unless you have a guide.
I know.
So we got places like Eater now who are trying to show us where to go. Right.
Eater
does a pretty good job.
I like Eater.
I mean, yeah, there's few, but I'm thinking now if you're like reverse engineering that into coffee. What you like hit it with a couple? Yeah, I mean, I guess Sprudge was the ones or is the one doing it.
Sprudge is the one that I
That's
wish
like what I would look at, right? If you're going somewhere.
I wish they were more like
Reddit,
Eater,
though.
honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet you the world doesn't look at Sprudge first. I bet you they look at places like Eater.
Reddit is hard for me. There's just
I don't do it.
I mean, I think most people would look at Yelp if they're going somewhere and they
Yelp
want to find a thing. They just kind of Google
Yelp.
and Yelp. I don't either, but.
That's just the spots or TripAdvisor.
There's nowhere else to go.
People are leaning into TripAdvisor as well. So really what we're saying is that somebody needs to start, and we can figure out how to categorize as well, the spots. Because I'm like, it probably needs to be a certain amount of employees. Well, maybe not. You just go for certain quality standards and try to
right. You'd have to define what the quality how the Michelin Guide.
Yeah, what is it?
Certain standards,
and then start handing out your cups, dude.
Yeah, I got
1
3
cup, 2 cup, 3 cup,
3 demi restaurant.
Yeah, dude, I'm a 4 portafilter method. Yeah,
it would be awesome. Something like that would be really awesome because if you did it, I mean, I don't know the Michelin categories, but if we were going to do it, there would be some sort of quality standard, but then there's also some sort of guest experience and service standard because those are the things that are really important. And I say good in the sense that it's easier to find good coffee than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's nice, but exceptional coffee is still pretty rare. But if I go to a town, I can usually find some sort of third wave modern cappuccino that's going to, suit my standard. But I want to pick the shop that's not necessarily the fanciest or the newest, but the one where I'm going to have the best experience.
Yeah,
that's almost impossible to tell until you get there.
Yeah, where they have the intentionality. put in the effort.
Yeah.
People care.
Well, and then, yeah.
And that's where Yelp's really useless because people are like, I like the cute flowers or the succulents are nice. Like,
I'll go looking for like Mexican food in another city and it'll be the places that are rated amongst the best. So there's always like the best one in terms of like authentic and what I'm going for too, but like authentic, the salsa, the whole thing. But right next to it is like the Chili's version of it where it's like, the people who love to go and get like the plate, which this is no diss, but it's the ones that you might see in a microwave come out versus they're all over the place, dude. I mean, there's places in this town that are super famous because they have great service and things that for sure don't put out like baller Mexican food. You go there for the fun. And they're like some of the busiest spots in town, 1,000%. And I'm not putting out those names because people are gonna think I'm hating, but
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And they're super fun to go to. They're totally an institution. Exactly. It rhymes with. Yeah.
Don't even do it.
No, we're not gonna do it because it won't matter. People just be grumpy at me, and it's like, yes, it is good. And I'm like, yeah, I went to places like that in Chico too. They're yummy.
I mean, it is good in a certain way. If you're looking for a certain thing.
It's like take your family to the place. It's all hot. Get your chips and salt. I mean, there's a place in Chico called La Hacienda that's exactly this that I love, and it's because they have a special sauce. But really, all their stuff is like they have their 3 meats that are for sure sitting in a stew thing in the back,
right?
And then you've got your iceberg lettuce, your beans, your cheese, maybe that's almost literally it, and then you got different versions of tortilla shells or vessels that you put them in.
Yeah,
almost all the same exact dish.
I can see the plate right now because those restaurants are everywhere,
right?
Yeah.
And then it's rated 4.8 on Yelp, and it is good, and it's fine, but you're not.
But Jiro's not back there like massaging the
Yeah, dude, and you're also not getting like crafted amazing salsas on the side, and like you know what I'm saying, like so it's hard to get apples to apples when you go to Yelp in that regard.
You see that? Did you post that Michelin taco place in Mexico got a Michelin star?
So cool. I mean, and I wonder.
Was it Mexico City?
I can't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't think it was.
It wasn't a truck. It's just a little stand, right?
It was a little stand. But it got one, and yeah. I mean, is that depth of flavor in the meat? Hopefully. Oh gosh, here they come. We're gonna be in trouble.
Are we gonna go there?
That'd be great. I mean, I'd love to go to Puyol too down there. They have 3 stars, and it's on the exchange rate works in our favor.
It's fair.
Always
dramatically. That dramatically works in our favor. I saw somebody who went there and gave it a hot take, and it was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah,
it was okay.
It was a coffee friend. It was pretty funny.
That's a nice.
They had themselves a banger trip. I was watching their food trip, and there was a lot of good looking food. And they're like, "Yeah, Puyol was like, it was good.
It's fine."
Yeah, there was other stuff they liked better.
Yeah. I just wish there was somebody out there like celebrating the best in coffee places. I think that'd be cool because I don't.
As a whole,
I think the problem with what's going on, it just seems to be an affliction for everything because of our hyper internet driven social media culture is everybody wants everybody to be happy. So it's hard to do an honest review where you've got these food bloggers who are just kind of food bloggers, but they don't really have an opinion.
Yeah.
They're like, this is great. That's great.
And
this is great. This is good. This is great. This is great. And it's like, no, tell me what's wrong. Tell me where I need to go. Like, tell me what is really happening. And you can do it without hating on someone. You know what I mean? If you're rewarding excellence rather than just punishing terrible stuff. But I don't know. I would like that as well. Like, what does that look like?
Starting another company, guys.
We're starting another company. It's called Coffee Review.
We're workshopping it. It's going to be
just an idea.
It's a name.
It's just an idea.
Anyway, foods for thoughts today, huh?
Yeah. Foods for thoughts.
I feel like that's.
See if that domain's available.
Foods for thoughts.
Foods for thoughts.
Beans for dreams.
It's like toys for. It's like Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
But foods for thoughts. We're a non-profit.
Dream and Bean.
The Dream and Bean.
The Dream and Bean. That's what it is, dude.
Jared's got so many business opportunities just waiting for him.
I just throw names out there and they all stick.
Hey everyone, that's the podcast for the week. Thanks so much for listening. If you heard something that inspired you, let us know, or tell a friend. These are the types of connections that are the most important to us and that we seek to create every day. If there's something you heard and you want to know more about, send us an email to podcast@catandcloud.com or head to our website, catandcloud.com/podcast, and let us know. While you're on our site, check out everything we have to offer. Dive deep into one of our single origin coffees or pick up a little treat for yourself. We have something for everyone, so check it out. Also, find us in the usual places, YouTube, Instagram. We're always there sharing amazing things. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for being awesome. We'll be back next week.